The Greek Foreign Ministry says it was asked by Washington to close its airspace to Russian planes flying with aid to war-torn Syria. Athens reportedly refused the demand. I talked about it earlier with RT's Murad Gazdiev.
Judging by what Washington has been saying, it doesn't seem to be entirely clear what it is supposed to be worried about. This is, I suppose, preemptive concern. The media hasn't been of much help either. Equally unclear, I mean, judge for yourself.
What the intelligence community is saying is that the Russians are actually reinforcing the Assad regime.
Some U.S. intelligence analysts believe Russia is preparing to insert combat aircraft into Syria.
Russia has long been a major arms supplier to the Syrian government, but there have been reports recently that it is stepping up the delivery of advanced military equipment and also the deployment of military advisors.
Oh, yeah, this is a story that made the rounds on the weekend, wasn't it? John Kerry apparently spoke to Sergei Lavrov, asked what this was about. There's a lot of allegations, but not very specific allegations here, are they?
No, and they've been citing the usual lot, the defense experts, intelligence analysts, the anonymous officials. Yes, Russia is helping the Syrian government, and Vladimir Putin recently again explained why. Russia is fulfilling contracts it has with Syria. Russia has many political, economic, trade agreements with Syria, and it is now delivering equipment, weapons that Syria bought years ago. And here it's probably worth mentioning as well that Russia isn't only sending defense equipment, it's sending food, medicine, emergency equipment, emergency goods, stuff Syria as a country in civil war needs. And the United States says that that is destabilizing. Sending anything to Syria to the Syrian government is destabilizing and counterproductive. And perhaps that's a little ironic, given that the Syrian government, the Syrian army, is perhaps the biggest threat to the Islamic State. It is really the only force in the region capable of standing up to the Islamic State.
Murad with me a bit earlier on. Well, the Russian president's spokesman says he's got no information about Moscow beefing up its military in Syria. Dmitry Peskov added that the country is simply maintaining working contacts and cooperation with the government in Damascus. US foreign policy analyst Derek Monroe thinks the story is being blown out of proportion.
I don't particularly, from a U.S. foreign policy standpoint, don't see this as any kind of degree of revelation, to say the least. But unfortunately, U.S. media is definitely on a bandwagon to kind of whip up this frenzy of the Russian aggression, Russian involvement, something that really, for really serious policy analysts, we are basically kind of aghast at looking at this and simply don't know what to make out of this, because it's really something out of nothing. The idea is just to create another scoring point in the propaganda media war, as well as use this as a political mileage in the upcoming elections, specifically when it comes to the foreign policy issues among the Republican contenders. So I think this is something that's going to eventually play out in the internal front of the U.S. foreign policy and our political scene.